Prior to 1972, laws were still in effect since the 1880s that made any information regarding birth control lewd and offensive. These Comstock laws made mailing, distributing, or advertising any form of birth control illegal. Margaret Sanger is credited as the first person to challenge these laws. Sanger was also famous for starting the fight for reproductive freedom, coining the term birth control, and founding Planned Parenthood. In the 19-teens, her views that women should enjoy sex without the worry of an unwanted pregnancy were considered barbaric. She was arrested at least 8 times for giving speeches that women should be able to choose when they have children, how many children to have, and providing methods for women to do so. It would be another half-century before another turning point in the reproductive rights battle to occur. By legalizing contraceptives, Eisenstadt v. Baird, 1972, created a critical turning point in the advancements of women's rights. Prior to 1972, women who did not feel it was the right time for a child had to rely on douches filled with Lysol, male-controlled withdrawal, and a crude version of the rhythm method. The failure rates were high, and with abortion only being legal to save the mother's life, coat hanger abortions were common, as were the deaths they caused. However, a rich woman could travel to a country where abortions were legal. In 1965, the Supreme Court case of Griswold v. Connecticut legalized birth control for married individuals, but could only be obtained with a doctor's prescription. This left the unmarried and the poor still reliant on rudimentary contraceptives and dangerous backstreet abortions. During this time, a young William Baird was working for a birth control manufacturer and was conducting research in a Harlem hospital.
I was clinical director for a drug company called Emco, which makes birth control products. And while at a hospital in New York City, I heard a woman scream. And like anybody else, I ran into the hospital corridor to see what was going on. And I saw a woman covered with blood from the waist down, and she was staggering. And obviously, I raced to help her, and as I caught her as she slumped to the ground, I noticed she had an 8-inch piece of wire coat hanger embedded in her uterus. And that woman died. And it so angered me that we lived in a nation that not only did this poor woman not have the right to an abortion, but many of your viewers have no idea that she didn't even have the right to birth control. In 1963, in most parts of the United States, birth control was a crime.
Baird then went on a crusade. He turned an old UPS truck into a traveling birth control clinic and used it to distribute foam and condoms to those in need. This got him fired from his job. Each woman that he helped could carry a 10-year prison sentence, and on May 13, 1965, he was arrested for exhibiting and publicly teaching methods of contraception. Within months, New York repealed the laws Baird was charged with violating before the Supreme Court could vote on their constitutionality. This was Baird's first court victory. A year to the date after he was arrested, Baird was appointed to the Joint Legislative Committee of Health and Mental Hygiene, the group responsible for creating new birth control regulations. In 1966, Baird was arrested in New Jersey for challenging a birth control statute. This resulted in his second court victory. His largest battle, however, was not until 1972, when he received a petition signed by almost 800 students from Boston University, asking for his help to overturn a Massachusetts law dealing with crimes against chastity, morality, decency, and good order. This law made distributing information about birth control a felony, punishable by 5 years in prison. On April 6, 1967, with a crowd of about 2,500 people at Boston University, Baird gave a speech about birth control, abortion, women's rights, and overpopulation. During the speech, he handed condoms to an unmarried female student and was promptly arrested. Baird was charged with committing crimes against chastity. Being arrested was part of an elaborate plan, which did not quite work out at first. The Supreme Court refused to hear the case, forcing Baird to carry out his sentence in the notorious Charles Street prison, which housed mostly rapists and murderers. On March 22, 1972, Justice William Brennan created a critical turning point when he stated, "If the right of privacy means anything, it is the right of an individual, married or single, to be free from unwarranted government intrusions into matters so fundamentally affecting a person as the right to bear or beget a child." The next year, Eisenstadt v. Baird was cited numerous times in the more famous court case of Wade v. Roe. Since 1972, Eisenstadt v. Baird has been cited hundreds of times. It has helped the U.S. court system define our constitutional right to privacy. Outside the courtroom, it has made an impact on women's daily lives. Pregnancies can now be well planned in terms of the number and spacing of children. Women are now delaying pregnancy to focus on their careers. Baird is continuing his fight for reproductive freedom. Recently, conservatives have tried to overturn laws legalizing birth control. Women's rights were a major issue in the last presidential election, and protests from both pro-choice and pro-life organizations are common. In an era where in vitro fertilization, surrogate mothers, semen and egg donations, and other technologies make it possible for pregnancy not to be synonymous with sex, there is still a battle waging on if sex should be synonymous with pregnancy. Who wins that battle will forever change couples' controls on family planning. The Eisenstadt v. Baird case in 1972 was just one of many turning points in the fight for reproductive freedom. From the Comstock laws of the 1880s vilifying birth control to Wade v. Roe in 1973 legalizing abortion, laws concerning birth control are constantly shifting. With this constant shift of laws and technology, the right to bear or beget will forever affect our society.